The following is a presentation on the journey of self-discovery through the universal wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita. Peace, happiness, and a re-energized purpose await those embarking on this journey. Explore perfect answers to timeless questions. The journey of self-discovery.
So, welcome to this seminar entitled The Journey of Self-Discovery. And we've heard musicians and poets wax poetically about how life is a journey. And we know that when we have any journey, we have to make plans for it. If we want to go on a simple 1 week, 2 week vacation, we go to a travel website and we must input, where is it that we want to go? When do we want to go? By what mode of transportation? What will I do when I get there? So many things we have to put in to plan for a simple journey. So why is it that we're all on this journey of life, but we spend so little time planning for it? We're traveling 1,000,000 miles an hour, moving so fast, working week after week, month after month, year after year. But have we taken a step back to determine where it is that I'm going? Why am I going to this place versus another place? What is the best way to get to my desired goal? What are my options? On this journey of life, so many things we may have not taken just a few moments to step back and think and plan for. So in this seminar, The Journey of Self-Discovery, what's your plan? We are going to explore developing this plan and begin to ask some questions we may not have asked before and answer many questions hopefully you all have. I look forward to taking this journey with you over the next several weeks. So, this seminar provides the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. If we take all of the teachings from the vast Vedic literatures and we were to condense it, pull out its essence that is contained within the Bhagavad Gita. This Bhagavad Gita as it is. Lord Shiva in his Gita Mahatmya says that the cow, it represents the whole vast Vedic knowledge. And we know the essence of the cow is its milk. And he compares the Bhagavad Gita to the milk of a cow. It is the cream, the essence of all that one can know. And so we will explore the teachings from this profound scripture. Arjuna, who is hearing from Krishna on this battlefield, is confused about what to do. What is his duty? He is filled with stress, fear, anxiety, uncertainty, lack of clarity of purpose. Sounds like a lot of us. And these teachings that were given so long ago are still relevant today. One may ask how? Well, sure, social customs may change, foods may change, fashions may change, climates may change. But what doesn't change is the eternal principle of who am I as spirit soul and my relationship with all that around me, including the Supreme Spirit. And the Bhagavad Gita speaks on this topic, which is an eternal fact. It is not subject to current social customs and ways. And by the grace of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, He has presented this Bhagavad Gita as it is, coming into cyclic succession, so that we may be able to dig deep into this philosophy and apply it in a very practical way. And today we see businessmen, engineers, doctors, homemakers, musicians, artists from all walks of life applying the profound wisdom from this Bhagavad Gita to make great changes and improvements in their life. And we see it's happening all over the world, regardless of color, race, age, demographic situation. It is a universal set of principles. So this will form the basis for this entire seminar. So this module 1 we're going to discuss this week is entitled The Search for Happiness. Something we are all looking for. Next week, we're going to begin to explore, does God exist? Our search for happiness is going to take us to try to find our relationship with God. So then we must ask a very obvious question. How can we know that God exists? And we're going to prove, without a doubt, next week, the existence of God. And then, if God exists, how do we find out about God? What are these scriptures? So we'll cover Module 2 over 2 weeks. And then Module 3 will begin in week 4, which is, who am I? Sounds like a simple question. I pull out my driver's license, it tells me. But who am I going to be 100 years from now? Who was I 100 years ago? That eternal identity is what we're going to explore. And we're going to discuss the science of the soul. And then in Module 4, we're going to cover over 2 weeks this very important question that when it goes unanswered, it gives many of us difficulty in accepting the presence of God. Which is, why is it that bad things are happening to good people? If there's a God, how can He allow so much suffering? So we're going to very systematically understand this. We're going to understand where it is we are today and where we came from, why we came to this specific place. All these things we're going to discuss in this 4th module. And we're also going to answer, why is it that good things happen to bad people? Both are troubling. So this is what we'll explore. And in the final module, we're going to explain and understand the practical applications. How is it that I can apply these principles in my daily life? And a preview is, we're not going to, at the end of the seminar, put all of our possessions on eBay, move to the caves in the Himalayas, and practice spirituality. That is not so practical. Not so many would be willing to join. What we're going to see is how one can apply spirituality into their life while they are having success in their profession, while they're having success in their home life, in their society relationships, and in all of their surrounding relationships. How one, by adding spirituality, can enhance all that one does. So we'll see that spirituality can very practically be applied. And I wanted to share what some others have experienced having gone through these 5 modules. This seminar changed my life. I live a more morally responsible life. I've become a better father and husband. I've never been happier in my life. I've become a more successful doctor. This seminar has taught me to stay focused personally and professionally. It helped me overcome and dramatically reduce my stress. I stopped overthinking. These initial sessions were a turning point for me. It gave me insight of what exactly I need to do in various life situations. I finally got real answers and guidelines from Journey of Self-Discovery Seminar. Every day I find it easier to find peace and happiness, not only for ourselves, but to the people all around us. These are some of the profound experiences from those who have been sitting in your shoes previously. And I hope that we will write new experiences like this for all of us in the coming weeks. So today's session is entitled Search for Happiness. Hopefully everyone is nice and happy at this point, nicely situated. So our agenda is going to cover what is the goal of life, what makes us special as humans, why is happiness so elusive, are we attempting to solve the right problem, are we getting to the root cause, and if not, then what is the real solution to obtaining real happiness? So if I ask you, what is your goal of life? The common thread that unites all living entities, whether we are atheist, whether we are spiritualist, in between, whether we are in the human form of life or the animal form of life, we all have one common goal, and that is to be happy, to have peace. Is anybody searching for unhappiness? No. We're all searching for the same thing. with an objective perspective, if we analyze everything that we do, the why behind what we do is to get some happiness. We try to do things that will eliminate unhappiness in our life. This is the essence of all of our endeavor. And actually, this quest for happiness is innate to our soul. It is natural because our soul is made up of ananda, bliss. So it is very natural and very fulfilling to be on this search for happiness. But the question I have for all of you today is, has anyone found happiness 100% of the time? No distress, no anxiety, no setbacks, no dissatisfaction, no conflict. Even if not 100%, even 50% of the time, has anybody found it? No. Still to this day, no one has raised their hand and claimed, I'm at least even 50% of the time happy. So we must find out, why is this the case? We all want it. We're working very hard, but it's not there. Is there an option for this, or is this the best one can do? Why is this the case? Why? That is what we're going to explore today. So before we explore this happiness, we must understand our special position in this human form of life. We may not have thought about it so much up until now. So how many categories of t-shirts do you see here? Yes, 8. And how do we categorize them? We look for differences amongst similar things. So if we have more than one category in a group, it means there are differences among things that have some common features. In that example, those are all t-shirts, presumably short sleeve, same size, 100% cotton. But they were distinguished by their color. There were differences among common items. So we classify living beings all around us into different categories or species, humans and animals. So it implies that there are some things that we have in common with all walks of life, and some things that distinguish us, that make us different. So in the Mahabharata, there's this great verse, Ahara nidra bhayam maitunam cha samanyam etat pashubir naranam. It says that we, animals and humans, we do 4 things that are common. Ahara nidra bhayam maitunam. Sleeping, eating, mating or enjoying, and defending. And these 4 things are common to all living entities. If we watch any Discovery Channel show, and they profile some exotic animal, what do they show? They show how the animal finds food, where it sleeps, how it finds its mate, and how it protects itself. That's it. It always shows these 4 things. Now, I ask, have you ever seen a documentary of any animal where they have gathered like this to ask these questions? Where is it that I'm going on this journey of life? To have a philosophical discussion. Have you ever seen? No. Zebras don't get around in a circle and discuss the Bhagavad Gita. Only in this human form of life. And we'll come back to that. So these 4 common activities. Eating. We eat, animals eat. Yeah, we may eat with more sophistication, with fine china and fancy cooked foods and beautiful restaurants. But the pleasure one gets from eating as a human or animal is non-different. The satisfaction is the same. And if we really analyze objectively, animals can actually do this better than us. An animal, a cow, can eat grass every day of its life and get the same satisfaction it always had from eating that grass. Now we, on the other hand, could we eat pasta or yogurt rice every day of our life? No. How much effort we have to do to go after just to fuel this body. Eating is just a process to fuel the body. Mothers know this really well, trying to feed children. So animals actually can do this even better than us. Sleeping. Sure, we may sleep in soft beds with pillow-top mattresses, down comforters, fluffy pillows. But animals do the same thing. They sleep in the wild. And if we see animals, they can sleep anywhere very comfortably. But how difficult we find it to even sleep. Go to the pharmacy. How many products are there to help us sleep? If the temperature is 1 degree too much or 1 degree too little, sleep is ruined. If the light seeps through the window shade just a little bit, ruined. Some sound comes, I'm up. Difficulty in sleeping. And we pass 1/3 of our life doing this activity. And while we're sleeping, we have no idea who we are, where we are. Mating. Sure, we may mate behind closed doors with sophistication, but the activity is the same. The pleasure is the same as animals get. And if we analyze objectively, so much of our society and efforts revolve around this single activity. How we can do this so nicely. And then defending. Yeah, we may defend with nuclear weapons and night vision goggles, but the activity of fighting and defending is the same. And our work is also considered part of defending our assets. Right? So between sleeping and defending, almost half our life goes in these two activities. So if our entire life revolves around these 4 activities, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, how are we different from the animals? If all of the advancement in society is bringing us to how we can eat nicely, sleep nicely, mate nicely, and defend nicely, then are we any really different than the animals? As this illustration shows, sure, we may be above the table and the dogs below, but the actions are the same. I hate to be so blunt, but it's a reality if we are objective. But the second part of this verse tells us, Dharmo hitesham adhiko vishesho, dharmena hina pashubir samanaha. That in this human form of life, we have the unique ability to inquire about the higher things in life. But if we don't, we become non-different than the animals. So this ability to inquire is what makes us special. We have higher intelligence, the ability to discriminate, to assess, evaluate. Shall I do this or shall I do that? We can analyze our activities. Animals act on instincts, but we act on the basis of our higher intelligence. Remember, in that Discovery Channel show, there was no discussion of animals coming together to plan out or think about the purpose of life. Simply eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. But we have the ability, with our higher intelligence, to think about where it is I'm going on this journey of life. This is the unique gift in the human form of life. Atato Brahma Jignasa. Srila Vyasadeva, after compiling the entire Vedas, he compiled the Vedanta Sutras. The Sutras are like aphorisms. They are short form phrases that contain and summarize the essence of the Vedas. His very first sutra says, Atato Brahma Jignasa. Now, atato means therefore. Therefore is an interesting way to start a book. Therefore implies something has happened previously. I worked very hard in school. I got into a top college. I studied hard, passed my exams. I got into medical school, passed my boards, and therefore I am a doctor. Therefore my doctor is because of some prior actions. So Vyasadeva is saying, therefore inquire. Brahma Jignasa. Therefore inquire about God. Why is Vyasadeva saying therefore? He is reminding us that we have worked very, very hard to acquire this human form of life. That may not be so obvious to us today, but by the time we come to Module 4, it will. There are 8.4 million species of life, and only in this human form of life do we have the ability to inquire and thus find the higher opportunities in life. So he's saying, therefore, now that you have acquired this human form of life, use your intelligence. Use this only gift that you were born with. Use it to inquire, Brahma Jignasa. And if we waste this most precious gift, this gift of higher intelligence, then we are a miser. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Kripana, don't be miserly. Who is a miser? One who has lots of wealth, but doesn't use his hard-earned wealth to provide basic foods, lives a malnourished life, dirty body, torn clothes, doesn't use the assets they have for life. So in this human form of life, the only wealth we came into this world with was our intelligence. And if we waste it, we are being miserly. If we lock up all of our intelligence and just use it to eat nicely, sleep nicely, mate nicely, and defend nicely, are we really using this intelligence to its full potential? We tell our children, you have a valuable gift, don't waste it. So we should also not waste this ability to inquire. In anything we do, we inquire and plan for so much. Just to buy a house, how much research we put into it. Months and months of research. To buy a simple cell phone, we Google and we ask people and compare features and so much analysis. So how much research have we put into the destination of my life? Where is it that I'm going? We have this ability to inquire. So we should not be miserly with our intelligence. And what should we inquire about? What is good for me? What is bad for me? Why am I suffering? We get this question a lot. I'm working very hard. I'm trying to line things up in such a way that I can experience this happiness. But as soon as I get it, I enjoy it for some time and then it's gone. Some problem, something comes up in the way. I lose it. We can ask, is that the best we can do? Or is there a better bargain somewhere? We can inquire, where am I going? What is my destination? We see in the morning, people are driving very, very fast on the highways. If someone is driving in a fancy sports car in the left lane, 100 miles an hour down the freeway, and the police officer pulls him over and says, my dear sir, my dear madam, where are you going? What's your hurry? He says, I don't know, I'm just going. He may be arrested for being insane. But we are going through life week after week, month after month, year after year, decade after decade, millions of miles an hour. But if we take in a few moments to step back and think, where is it that I'm going? What are my options? These are the things we can ask about with our intelligence. Why did I come to this place? Why was I born in this family, not that family? How come I have this type of body and someone else has a different type? Where will I go next? These are the questions that can be answered when we use our intelligence to inquire. Otherwise, if we don't, we are simply well-polished, well-dressed, two-legged animals. So now, let us see the type of happiness that we are looking for. We said it is the primary overarching goal. We all want it, yet no one has found it all the time. Now let me just confirm everyone is looking for it. Anybody woke up today and said, today I want to be unhappy? No. Anybody has woken up with that thought? No. Every day we wake up trying to be happy. So what kind of happiness is it that we want? Let's put some criteria around the type of happiness we want. We want it permanent. It should be all the time. Not that we're enjoying small moments in between long intervals of unhappiness. We're enjoying on a vacation, but we know, it's going to come to an end. We want that pleasure, that experience to last forever, not to end. We want it to be ever increasing. The more I do an activity, I should get more happiness. Tomorrow, I should get more happiness from that activity than today. It should give me ever increasing happiness. And finally, there should be great variety. I want to enjoy with friends, with family, with others, with God. I want to enjoy in so many ways. I want variety. So we want it, yes. And I'll add a fourth dimension. It should be easy to obtain. We shouldn't have to work so hard for it. So can we agree this is a type of happiness that would be great, permanent, ever increasing, tons of variety, and easy to get? So let us see, what do we find in our current situation? What are we finding? Well, we find that our happiness is temporary. It's happiness sandwiched between distress. It's relative happiness. We ask someone, how are you? Fine, no problems. We define our happiness by the absence of problems. And what we find is much of the happiness we experience, it's all relative. I'll explain in a couple of examples. After suffering with the flu and digestive issues for 2, 3, 4 days, nothing is staying in, and difficulty, up, down, all kinds of problems. And then one morning we wake up and we can take one bowl of oatmeal and no problems. We're like, happiness. But is that happiness? No, it's relative to the 3 or 4 days of suffering. Yeah, it's happiness. But today when you ate your breakfast, did you think, this is happiness? No. It becomes relative. Back in the olden days, they used to punish prisoners. They would take them in a boat out to the middle of a lake. And they would grab them by the hair. You couldn't do that with me. And they would dunk them in the water. And they would hold them there and hold them there and hold them there to the very last breath. And when they were just about to give up, they would pull them out and air. And then they would dunk them again. And they would hold them and hold them and hold them and hold them. And then when they were just about to end, they would pull them up and those moments of breaths is the most blissful experience. Did any of us experience bliss in our last breath? No, but relative to that difficulty, it seems great. So this is our happiness. If we see how our work week is structured, it's distress, happiness. What is the best day of the week? Yes, Friday. And what is the worst day of the week? Monday. Sometimes even Sunday afternoon. I have to go to work tomorrow. We work 5 days a week to try to enjoy a couple days on the weekend. This is what we find in the world around us. And we see that the happiness we get from whatever it is that we're trying to enjoy, it fades quickly. Over time, I get less enjoyment from it. My favorite movie, my favorite novel, favorite song, favorite food. After a while, I become tired of it. The unique feature of everything that we experience in this world is that what begins to give us happiness ultimately ends in distress. I enjoy cookies. I eat 1 cookie, 2 cookies, 3 cookies, happiness. And then, I'm so full. And after some time, I don't even want to see a cookie. It was giving me so much happiness initially. And now I cannot even stomach seeing one, let alone eating one. Your favorite movie, how many times can you watch it before you become annoyed by it? This is what we see. What used to give us happiness now is our distress. How many cable channels we have, how many movies are produced every year, because we're constantly trying to find new ways to entertain ourselves. Because everything has this diminishing happiness the more we do it. And the third dimension, what is this? It's a mirage. And we think, if I take a few steps, I'll reach that water. But we know each step we take, are we getting any closer to it? No. But we convince ourselves, If I just get to this stage of my life, then I'll be happy. One more zero in the bank account, one more child, one more house, one more car in the driveway, one more, and then I'm happy and nothing else. And as soon as we reach that, we want one more. And it never ends. We had a practical example. Maybe we grew up in a home and we were sharing a bedroom and we just wish, I wish I just had my own room. And then we go off to college and we share an apartment with some friend. I have my own room, now I'm happy. But after some time we think, I really just want my own place, my own apartment. Then I'll be happy, nothing else. I got it. Then we get our apartment. Then we think, I just want my own four walls. No one left, right, up or down. Just my own four walls. Simple house, no problem. Then I'll be happy. And then we buy a simple home. And then we think, maybe a walkout basement, a lake, a second home, and this goes on. When does it end? It doesn't end. Just like the journey to find water in this mirage, it never ends. It ends in ceasing, death. So we convince ourselves, just one more step. And finally, we have to work so hard. We work 50 weeks a year just to get a couple of weeks of vacation. We have to do so much work ahead of that vacation. After the vacation, so much work is waiting for us. Even on vacation, we have to make plans and buy tickets and stand in lines and worry about this activity and whether it's going to rain and all these things that might get in the way of our happiness. It's not so readily available. We see how much effort we put just to get some happiness out of eating. A whole industry has come up to sample all the foods to tell us where to go. How much effort we put into the simple activity of fueling the body. So this happiness is very difficult. So it's there is happiness in this world, but it's not ever increasing. It's not permanent. It's not easy to get. It's not abundant in variety. And don't think, I haven't found it, but my neighbor, boy, they have the perfect life. Trust me, behind closed doors, they're also going through the same difficulties as these cows are sampling each other's grass. Well, what do you know? The grass is greener. It is not greener. And as we get through this next section, we'll see why that is undeniably the case. So, this happiness we want, it is there. But why is it so elusive? That is what we're going to inquire about. I want it permanent, ever increasing, tons of variety, and easy, but it's not coming. There's something getting in the way of our happiness. There's some problem in the system that is preventing us from achieving our grand plan. We are trying hard, we all have the same goal, but something is getting in the way. So we have to understand, what are those things? What is the problems we face? Because if we can diagnose the problem, then we can apply the right solution. If someone comes to me and they're very hungry, and I give them water, I am not going to solve their problem. Because I am applying water to hunger. If someone is very thirsty, and I give them food, I am not going to solve their problem. I have to understand the problem and apply the right solution. So, we're going to spend a few moments to discuss what are the problems we face. But don't worry, we're going to come to where we then discuss how to solve them. What is the solution behind it? So there are two kinds of problems we find, relative problems and real problems. Relative problems, when we solve them, they give relative happiness. Like that prisoner, that breath of air is blissful, relative to those periods of no air. That is relative happiness. But we want real happiness. So get to real happiness, that ever-increasing, permanent, all the time, we want to solve real problems. So this is the understanding that we have to find the right problems to solve. Then we can obtain this real happiness. So what is a relative problem and what is a real problem? So most of the problems we think about are relative problems. One man's food is another man's poison. You know, the example of a dentist and a toothache. A toothache for you and I is a problem, but for the dentist, it's business. The stock market crash and a lawyer. When the market crashes, we all suffer, but the bankruptcy lawyers, they prosper. One man's problem, another man's bliss. Once I was on vacation, and it began to rain heavily as we were enjoying the beach. Everybody was frustrated and running. But who was happy? Those shopkeepers along the beach who were selling overpriced flimsy umbrellas. One man's food is another man's problem. And we see this a lot. We actually think, not enough, ahara neither bayu maitunam, those are my problems. Not enough eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. But are those really problems? So let's see. What is a real problem? For this young girl, it is algebra. Oh, real problem. But a real problem must satisfy 3 criteria. First, it must be common to all. Whether we are rich or poor, tall or short, light or dark, intelligent or illiterate. Doesn't matter. It is common to everyone. And nobody wants it. Not that some like it and some don't. Bitter melon is a real problem for my son. But I love it. That's not a real problem. That's a relative problem. A real problem is nobody likes it. It is universally disliked. And finally, everybody gets it. It's unavoidable. Not that you can buy your way out of it. These problems, these real problems, are what stand in the way of our happiness. So that we don't apply water to a hungry man or woman, let us understand then what are the real problems, what problems fit these 3 criteria. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains Janma, Mrityu, Jara, and Vyadi. Birth, death, old age, and disease. These 4 things are forced upon all living entities, common to all, and nobody wants them, and everyone gets it. And we may say, birth is not a problem. Everybody is celebrating with chocolates and cigars. Yay! Yes, we may be celebrating. But the condition of the baby, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's explained that the baby in the womb of a mother is in a very difficult and precarious position. And it is intensely praying, my dear Lord, please get me out of here. They are suspended upside down in a curled position, swimming in its own bodily fluids, being nipped by worms. It's a miserable condition. If I offered any of you $1 million to sit like this, upside down in a sack of your own fluids curled up for 9 months, anybody would do it? No. But if we don't use our intelligence to ask these questions, we're preparing to sit like this one more time. So birth. Old age. Anybody is looking forward to old age? When the knees don't work, the digestion doesn't work, the eyes can't see, 3s look like E's, and I can't hear, what'd you say? Anybody is looking forward to old age? No, it's difficult. The simplest of things becomes such a process. Tying your shoes. You meditate for an hour in old age. How am I going to tie my shoes? The simplest activities become very difficult as we progress in life. And if you want proof, just go to a nursing home and see. It is not very fun. And we know how much effort is going to try to slow down old age. With joint creams and wrinkle creams and hair dyes, so much effort is trying to prevent and slow down old age. But has anyone stopped it? More of that to come. So this old age, no one is looking forward to it. Disease. Invariably, we all get sick. It is unavoidable. Even the healthiest of the healthiest will pick up some level of disease. And finally, the one no one wants to talk about, death. Everyone gets it. It is unavoidable. And nobody wants it. If we ever hit turbulence on a plane, we become scared. Or a sound in the middle of the night. Fear. What is that fear? It is the fear of losing everything. Someone who has lost a loved one. Or someone who has lost a valued possession. The pain that we experience when we lose a loved one, a family member, a relationship, or a valuable item, it's painful. Well, then imagine the pain when we lose everything. Not one relationship, all of our relationships. Not one valued possession, all of our possessions. In one fell swoop, it's all gone. The scriptures explain the pain of death is equivalent to being bitten by a scorpion 1,000 times simultaneously. Those of us from India have some experience or understanding of the pain of a single scorpion bite. So this death is very painful. Now we may say, well, death is a long time away. Birth was a long time ago. I'm healthy. No worries. Well, there's 3 more real problems that are forced upon us. Even if we are young, healthy, and far from death. And these are Adhyatmika, Adhibhautika, Adhidevika. Adhyatmika, the difficulties of the mind and the body. The body is constantly giving difficulty. It is a source of potential difficulty. A small cut on your finger can throb and take over your entire consciousness for a week. By a tiny cut on less than 0.111% of your body. But even more difficult than the body is the mind. The mind gives us so much challenges. Psychiatrists and psychologists are booming in profession today because of the difficulties of the mind on people. An uncontrolled mind. We get the wonderful BMW. Yay! Husband's happy, wife is happy, children are happy and they're enjoying. And then one day, pain. The neighbor gets a BMW. Why pain? Because they got the 5 Series. We only have the 3 Series. And the mind begins to lament and tell us, how come you only got the 3? They got the... It doesn't let us appreciate and enjoy all the things that we have. Instead, it keeps reminding us of all the things we don't have. This is the difficulties of the mind. And Adhibhautika, the difficulties we have between other living entities, the conflict. Always there's someone giving us some difficulty. Even one who claims to have no enemies. They have someone. Maybe it's the neighbor's dog, mother-in-law, someone. And if even none of them, then on the Saturday evening when they're sitting out trying to enjoy those pesky mosquitoes, some living entities are always giving difficulty. Once a guy in the Amazon was asked, deep in the jungle he was living, aren't you scared of all the snakes and spiders and wild monkeys? And he said, no. The most dangerous of living entities doesn't come here. The humans. So this conflict is there. And then Adhidevika, natural disasters, storms and tornadoes and fires. It's incredible. We're looking for happiness, but these things get in the way of us. It's difficult. We're going through these fires. This Adhidevika in California. It's ironic that it sits just miles from the largest body of water. Yet, we cannot solve these forest fires. So, everybody, every day, we're looking for the happiness. And it's coming, but then it goes by the presence of these different difficulties. Old age, disease, the prospects of death or death itself, difficulties of the body and mind, of other living entities, or natural disasters. They're interrupting our experience of happiness. So now then the question becomes, what are we doing to solve those real problems? Are we on the right track? Because we know if I want to get real happiness, this ever-increasing, permanent, high-variety happiness, I got to solve these real problems, not the relative problems. We got to solve birth, death, old age, disease, adhyatmika, adhibhautika, adhidevika. So we know one thing. We haven't gotten this real happiness after tremendous amounts of effort. We're all working very hard trying. That there is no doubt. Over the last 150 years, the Industrial Revolution has brought so many things, gadgets into our life. The technology revolution has changed the world, way in which we live. So many improvements. But have we made progress in getting more happiness and solving these problems? We know one thing for sure. We have tried very hard. We have worked very hard. We work hard in school just to get to college. And then we work hard in college to get a job. And then we work hard on our job to progress. And what is the goal of that intense endeavor? So that we can acquire some means, some wealth to then get happiness. So it's definitely not due to a lack of trying. But have we found it? So this is the question I pose to everyone. Is technological advancement in society the solution to solving the real problems? Or is it just a painkiller, temporary approach? We see so many advancements in society, no doubt. Many devices that have supposed to make our life easier, undeniable. But we see medical science. We have so much advancement in cancer research and heart disease and all these different difficulties. But every time we solve one disease, two more come up. Each year the flu vaccine becomes trumped by a new flu. Have we made any progress in actually stopping disease? Science is finding it hard to keep up. All the forecasting tools and building materials, has it made us any safer from natural disasters? More people are suffering today than ever before from earthquakes and fires and cyclones and tornadoes and tsunamis. Though we've advanced in technology, it hasn't worked. So I can ask one question. With all the advancement in society, have we made the person behind the machine happier? What is the condition of this person behind all the new fancy machines that we're trying to enjoy? How is the man or woman advancing? Are we happier than our grandparents' generation? Can we really say we have less stress, more time, more peace than our grandparents' generation? We have more toys, technology, but not more peace, not more happiness. So what is the technology to apply to the person behind the machine? This technology is the teachings from the Bhagavad Gita. And why is it technology? Because it is still the latest and best solution. No other solution has come up, and nor will ever one come. Because it speaks about the eternal situation of all of us. So this modern advancement, it's like a painkiller approach to solving our problems. Okay? So let us see, despite all of this advancement, why we're not getting to solving these problems. So there are two ways to approach curing a problem. The medicine approach and the painkiller. A medicine cures a disease from the root. A painkiller is a superficial relief. And the painkiller has benefits. It's instant, it's cheap and relatively easy available, but it has disadvantages. There are side effects. It doesn't cure it permanently, and it can often make things worse. We see every advancement in society, it comes with side effects. We solve one problem and two more come. Diet Cola, yes, less calories. Saccharin causes cancer. Lead paint, very durable, poisonous. Cell phones, connectivity, loss of personal interaction, radiation, everything. It comes with side effects. We can see now Stress is higher than it's ever been. Divorce rates are higher than they've ever been. Heinous crimes are getting even worse. Why? With all of these advancements, it is because of these side effects. The advancements are bringing on side effects that we are seeing in the form of the difficulties around us. I found this picture to be funny. Somewhere, something went terribly wrong. Unfortunately, all of this advancement, it's just a painkiller. It's a superficial approach. It is not getting to the root cause. I talked about mobiles. Good. Access, security, connectivity. But the dangers of information, the dangers of impersonal. We lose our relationship. You go to any social setting now, everyone's on their phones. We're losing the ability to even interact with each other. Instead of calling, we message. This is where society is going. Yeah, we have wider freeways and faster cars. But a study was done. The average commute from home to workplace hasn't changed since the Roman Empire. So what has been the benefit? Beyond more crowded freeways, bigger accidents, more toxic pollutions in the air, hasn't really improved the quality of our life. We can see the evolution of TVs. In the 90s, we had big fat TVs and skinny bodies. And now we have flat screen TVs and big fat bodies. Talked about information, medical, so much advancement, but also so much destruction. The side effects of medicines. Advancement in science, great tools, and also dangerous ones like nuclear weapons. I thought this was funny. This sign says, "Rocks from the moon. Our grateful acknowledgement to the American people for their generous contribution of $24 billion for this recent acquisition." What are we getting out of all of this? No, you weren't downloaded. You were born. "Dear Andy, how have you been? Your mother and I are fine. We miss you. Please sign off your computer and come downstairs for something to eat. Love, Dad." And you may visit our website, www.heaven.gov, for more information and facilities available there. Didn't you get my email? Oh no. So we're definitely moving very, very fast. But do we have direction? Where are we going on this journey? This is what we must figure out. Because America is one of the richest lands in the world. But can we say it's the happiest? Money can buy a bed, but it can't buy sleep. It can buy a clock, but not time. A book, but it can't buy knowledge. Medicine, but it cannot buy health. And it can buy blood, but it cannot make life. And it's interesting. We seem to spend more, but we have less. We buy more, and we enjoy it less. More conveniences, but less time. We've multiplied our possessions, but seemingly have reduced our values. So this modern advancement is like a knife. The advancement is neither good nor bad. It's how we are using it. If we use all of this advancement simply to eat nicely, sleep nicely, mate nicely, and defend nicely, we're not making any real progress in finding this eternal happiness that we are all searching for. So this science and technology and advancement, they're very beneficial, but we must use it for finding out how to solve these real problems. Then we'll obtain the real solutions. So where did we go wrong? We took a painkiller approach to solving the problems. Suppose I have a headache and it keeps coming back. If I take some aspirin, all it's going to do is temporarily give me some relief. But the headache will keep coming back. So if I want a permanent solution, I have to get to the root cause. Is my headache due to high stress, clenching my teeth, a bad diet? What is causing the headache? If I solve the root cause, then I can get a permanent solution. So this modern advancement is like a painkiller approach. It's trying to lessen these symptoms. It is like using hair dye to stop old age, or wrinkle cream and joint cream to stop old age. It is simply a cover-up. It is simply just trying to push it down a little bit further. Is it really solving old age? Have we solved disease, death, these difficulties of the mind and body? No. We're simply using hair dye to cover up these issues. So we want to get to the root cause. So now we'll finish with what is the solution then? At one point someone said, I was a heck of a lot happier before hearing all of this. Well, that would be true if there was not a real solution readily available to all of us to find this ever-increasing permanent happiness that we all naturally want. And there is great news. We can very easily solve these problems if we get to the right solution. So we're searching for the right thing, which is this happiness. That is the right thing to be looking for. But trying to find it through eating nicely, sleeping nicely, mating nicely, and defending nicely is like trying to find water in a desert. It's there, but in just very small quantities. We have to stop looking for this happiness like this person looking for knowledge. They're in the library, but their head is in the trash can. They're not going to find it. So the key to finding our eternal happiness is to remember that we come from an amazing place with an incredibly deep, loving relationship with God. But we have lost this relationship. And this relationship with the Supreme Lord is the key to getting to the root cause of these real problems. And when we awaken this relationship, we obtain a permanent solution to these problems. And we then can unlock this real happiness. It is just like this young boy who is lost in the rubble of a crumbling building and not sure where he's going to find his next meal, his next piece of clothing, where he will sleep, completely lost. All of its needs. But as soon as this boy is reconnected with his father, everything is settled instantly. Similarly, when we reconnect with our eternal Father, everything that is giving us trouble instantly is resolved. It is forgetfulness of this relationship with our eternal Father that is the cause of all of our difficulties. We lost it, but we can quickly get it back. Just like a child who has run away from home, the mother and father are anxiously waiting for that child to come back home. Similarly, our Supreme Lord, our Supreme Father, is waiting for all of us anxiously. And as soon as we express some desire, He will provision all the facilities so that we can quickly reawaken this relationship and begin to experience this wonderful happiness. So we have to recognize this place is a place of dukkhalayam and shashvatam. It is temporary and full of all of these difficulties. And we are out of our element. This fish, if you bring it onto the beach, no matter how wonderful of a chair you give it, how many wonderful jewels and great foods and nice fine music and art you try to satisfy with all the pleasures of life, it will not find happiness. Why? Because it is out of its natural environment. That fish, when it returns to water, immediately finds its peaceful surrounding again. We, trying to eat nicely, sleep nicely, mate nicely, and defend nicely, that is not our natural environment. Our natural environment is in with loving relationship with God. And when we experience that, we immediately stop the twitching of this material life and experience this bliss. So it is not due to effort, keeping to work and acquiring all these assets day after day, week after week, month after month. It's not going to achieve this happiness. We're like on this wheel. We're moving, but we're not moving forward. We work so hard to acquire all these temporary assets. Money, our wealth, our fame, our status in society, our relationships. None of it we can take with us. So when are we going to spend some time working on those things that we can take with us beyond even this life? And that is our spiritual relationship with the Lord. That is our eternal gift. And so I'll conclude with one story. to illustrate this. Once there was a great king, a very wealthy king, and he was visited by a sadhu. Because this king was so busy in conquering lands and obtaining more queens and building its treasury, that in all of his efforts, he lost track of his duties and relationship with the Lord. And so this sadhu came, and he told the king, "My dear king, I would like you to do one thing." And this king said, "Yes, whatever you ask." He was a very pious king. And the sadhu said, "I want you to find the greatest fool in your land, and you give him this stick. And for the work of carrying this stick, you pay him a life pension. He no longer has to do any other work besides carrying this stick." The king was a little bewildered, but he had faith in the sadhu and said, "Okay." So he called his ministers. "Minister, who's the greatest fool in our kingdom?" And they all thought, this one person, he has been given some land from the king, but he is just, using the facilities to serve his deities and singing bhajans and not really advancing himself in society, not really making much production. He's just, engaging in his bhajan and his worship. Certainly no one could be more foolish, wasting the gift of the king. But just to confirm, they called a big assembly, and they asked, "If anyone is willing to carry this stick and designate themselves as the greatest fool in the kingdom, you will get a lifetime pension." No one was willing to bear that shame or infamy. But this fool, very quickly, "Yes, I can get a life pension. Now I can buy more things for my Lord, more flowers and more fruits. What could be better?" He didn't care what people thought of him. So in this way, this fool went on year after year, carrying his stick, receiving his pension. Many years had passed, and the king became terminally ill. He was on his deathbed, and he was meeting his queens, his children, ministers, saying his goodbyes, saying his farewells. And then he thought, I haven't seen this fool in some time. Call him. Let me relieve him of his duty. He has served nicely. Let me leave this as a departing gift. And so he called the fool. And he told the fool, "My dear fool, I now have to go on a long journey, inevitable journey." And the fool said, "Really? Oh, king, can I go with you?" And the king said, "No, you cannot come with me." "Oh," the fool said, "Oh, you want to go with your queens. I understand. It's a little private journey." He says, no, fool, I cannot go with my queens. I cannot go with my children. No one. I must take this inevitable journey alone." "You're going to go alone on a long journey. Well, at least allow me to arrange for a horse and carriage so that you can go comfortably along." "No, you fool, I cannot even take a horse and carriage. Nothing I can take with me." "You're going to walk. At least let me go to the kitchen and bring some food and a couple gold coins for your incidental expenses along this journey." He said, "Fool, you don't understand. I cannot even take a single gold coin on this journey." "Really?" King said, "Enough of this. Listen, fool, I appreciate your service. And now I'm relieving you of this need to carry this stick. You'll continue to get your lifetime pension, but on one condition. You must find a greater fool than yourself. Give them that stick, and you'll be set." The fool said, "Really? I just have to find a greater fool than me? That's easy." And then he extended his hand to the king. The king said, "What? You're giving me the stick? You think I am a fool? Explain yourself." And the fool said, "My dear king, you just told me that all your life you spent your time acquiring lands and queens and more treasury. And now on this inevitable journey that you knew was coming, and none of that you can take with you. Yet you made no preparation for this journey that was inevitable. Who could be more foolish than one that doesn't make at least some plan for a journey that is known to come? And for that reason, you are the greatest fool." And then the king understood the message of that sadhu many, many years ago. So let us use our intelligence to begin to inquire and think about this journey of life so that we can unlock this experience of increasing eternal happiness where it is uninterrupted, not relative to moments of distress, where it is abundant like an ocean, not mystical like a mirage, and so easy to get. We are not going to find it by working harder. We're going to find it by working smarter, by awakening our relationship with the Supreme Lord. And so to summarize, we are all looking for real happiness. No one is looking for unhappiness. We have this unique ability in this human form of life, which is very rare and we have worked very hard to obtain. And so now it is up to us to try to acquire it, to utilize the intelligence for the ultimate purpose of life, to solve real problems so that we can get real happiness. And stop the painkiller approach of trying to stop old age, death, disease, difficulties of the mind and body of other entities and natural disturbances. But to get to the root cause, and the solution to get to the root cause of solving these problems is awakening our relationship with the Lord. And then all of these disappear. So next week, we're going to then discuss, well then, if the solution is awakening my relationship with God, how do I know God exists? So in Module 2, we'll discuss proving undeniably, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that God exists in a very systematic way. And we're going to put some criteria around how we can understand, know who is God. So we'll go through a 4-part proof and a 4-part criteria, and then we'll discuss how to see God. Many of us doubt the existence of God because we cannot see. And so next week, we'll discuss how to see God. And then we'll carry on with the rest of the seminar. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed today's discussion, and I look forward to speaking with everyone next week on Does God Exist? Thank you.